This is a CBS News special report. I'm Anthony Mason in New York. The U.S. has just released videos captured from Osama bin Laden's compound in Pakistan. The videos were seized by Navy SEALs in that raid Monday that killed the al-Qaeda leader. Now, the videos were just released at a Pentagon briefing. Bob Orr, our Homeland Security correspondent, has just come out of that briefing. Bob, what did we learn?
Anthony, this was fascinating. This shows that Osama bin Laden, in the opinion of the U.S. Intelligence Committee, was actively involved at the center of al-Qaeda in mapping future plans and in trying to control his network. And it seems he was somewhat vain, a little bit of a control freak, if you will, very worried about the propaganda message. First of all, I want to tell you the intelligence analysis has revealed that this compound where bin Laden was killed was an active command and control facility for al-Qaeda. Now look at this video right here. This is fascinating. What you're looking at here, we believe, is Osama bin Laden himself huddled there in front of a television with a blanket around his shoulders, some kind of hat on his head, with a remote control clicker in his hand. And as we watch this video play out, what's happening here is he is sitting, we believe, in the compound, although they're not sure about that, but sitting somewhere clearly scrolling through a series of video options like you might do at home, trying to find a program to watch. One of the programs that he clicks on there is Al Jazeera, and as the picture zooms in there, you see Osama bin Laden on television. This is a broadcast. This is bin Laden himself monitoring what kind of message he's presenting to the outside world. It's fascinating in that he knows someone's in the room with him taking photos of him, or video rather, of him watching this, and occasionally as the camera would stray to bin Laden himself, bin Laden would motion to take a picture of the screen, take a picture of the screen. Now there's no audio from this. The U.S. government says it's not interested in spreading al-Qaeda's propaganda, but they say that this video clearly was something that mattered to him. It was in his possession at the compound. And they say this is also an important verifier that the person killed in the compound, as if they needed one more, was Osama bin Laden, because who else would have these pictures? This was never intended for anybody to see. This was clearly for his own personal use, whether he was studying performance or studying message. That's all just conjecture. This is, of the 5 videos, the most interesting and compelling because it shows him in a posture that we've never seen. This is the somewhat mythological mastermind terrorist who's kind of huddled there in a hovel, with a blanket around his shoulders and presumably cold, watching something on television. And he keeps clicking through the channels here. This video runs a couple of minutes, I think, and keeps coming back, at least in the section that's been released, to Al Jazeera. The tape obviously has been recovered in the Navy SEAL raid. Much more has been recovered. It's not clear to us whether or not the hardware that you see here, the satellite receiver and the television, whether that's been recovered. And intel analysts cannot say absolutely that this was inside the compound, although they think that is a reasonable guess because the belief is that for the last several years, bin Laden did not leave that compound. We don't know when this video was shot. There are no time cues here, no calendar cues, but apparently it was done in the last couple of years. You see in the picture, as you see bin Laden in the corner of the screen, his beard is gray, and typically they say that's the way his beard was kept. When he was killed Sunday night by the Navy SEALs, his beard was gray, and that's interesting because when he appeared in the propaganda videos that we're now all so familiar with, his beard was usually dyed a dark black. In November 2007, there was a video showing bin Laden standing in front of a set of sorts with a dyed black beard in a gold and white robe. They released 4 other videos. This is one that is a message to the American people, according to a senior intelligence analyst, that for some reason al-Qaeda has never released. The intelligence community will not tell us what the message is. They won't allow us to hear sound from the tape because, again, they say they don't want to spread the propaganda, but that in general, bin Laden here is repeating old themes, criticizing capitalism, for example, calling on his supporters to rise up, denigrating America. This appears to be a video that was made for final production that was intended, at least they think, for release, but for some reason it was never released to the public. They believe that this video was recorded sometime between October 9th, 2010 and November 5th, 2010, so just last fall. They won't say how they know that, but apparently there's some kind of time reference in the tape. That was the second most substantial or substantive video. The other three seem to be focused on proving that bin Laden was very vain. And we could take a look at those if you want to. Very vain, that he was really concerned about his image. And if we tee those up, I'll try to describe you what I see here. Forgive me as I look a little bit off camera to we don't have those? All right, well, if we get those, maybe we can show those. But the news here is that bin Laden was not irrelevant. For years, there's been some speculation that maybe he was a figurehead, and the intelligence analysts say it's pretty clear to them that he was a key planner. He was right in the middle. Now, did he control every daily movement of al-Qaeda and the affiliates? Of course, that's open to conjecture. Now we're back to the video I see, and this, again, is the first one we showed you of bin Laden apparently there with a remote control clicker watching himself on television. And this one, as I mentioned again, just showed that he was very interested in the message. I'll just briefly tell you, the other three videos showed a rehearsal session, bin Laden standing, which they believe was done in the compound, in front of a large dresser or armoire, kind of just going through a rehearsal for a message he hoped to release. One more was yet an outtake, if you can believe that, an al-Qaeda outtake, showing that he wasn't perfect, and he kind of flubbed his line and asked the cameraman to start over again. In fact, I think that's what this one is. This is in front of the armoire. And then if we can look, as we see the slate here, we're kind of doing this on the fly. They just released these videos. If you see another one, it will be bin Laden standing, again, we don't know where, we think maybe in the compound, and it doesn't go right. You know, the director gives him a cue, and he starts to talk, and either he flubs the line, right there it is. He looks off camera and basically asks for a do-over. So this is the most powerful terrorist in the world having trouble making a videotape. And then the final one, which is not all that important, shows bin Laden practicing in front of a wrinkled sheet. It looks like somebody just holding it up behind him to give him the backdrop. So this is fantastically new insight into the world of Osama bin Laden. And Anthony, the key thing here, the takeaway is he was still a connected person. Out of the public's mind, this is the final video in front of a sheet, out of the public's mind, and maybe not really on anybody's radar, so to speak, but he was right at the center of what al-Qaeda was trying to do, and very interested in keeping that message going forward. Anthony, this is a glimpse I don't think anybody in the U.S. government ever thought they would get of Osama bin Laden. Yeah, Bob, certainly the most candid glimpse we've ever had of him, and important to underscore, it's the first time we've seen him. If the dates are accurate on those videos, it's the first images we have of him since 2007, correct? Yeah, that's right. The last videotape released was 2007. There have been some audio tapes since then, and some of those were kind of regurgitants of what he had done before. But yeah, this shows that he was active, at least we believe, right up until last fall, up to November of 2010, practicing for some kind of video which we never saw. Maybe we will see it in the future. It could be there in the pipeline somewhere, Anthony. All right, Bob Orr at the Pentagon. Thanks, Bob, for the update. I want to bring in Juan Zarate now, the former Deputy National Security Advisor to President Bush. Juan, very select videos that the Pentagon has given us, just 5. Why these? Why now?
Well, Anthony, I think the administration is trying to reach multiple audiences here with this. First, they're trying to demonstrate, again, that the raid happened, that they got bin Laden, that they've got this treasure trove. I think, interestingly, though, here, Anthony, what they're trying to do is to start a narrative offensive against al-Qaeda. They're trying to send a very clear message by first undercutting the image of bin Laden as a mythical figure. Also, I think they're sending a message to the al-Qaeda senior leadership to say, we've got a treasure trove of documents. We've got these behind-the-scenes views of bin Laden, whom we've only seen in propaganda videos to date, and we've got much more behind the screen, and you need to be worried. And so I think this is not just a matter of feeding our desire to see what came out of the raids or to understand bin Laden, which is fascinating, but it's also part of a tactic to try to get into the mind of al-Qaeda and actually to be disruptive of it. And in the first instance, I really think attacking al-Qaeda's ideology by trying to deconstruct the mythology of bin Laden.
I mean, it's got to be distressing from al-Qaeda's perspective, because they probably are not aware how many of these videos may exist, right?
That's exactly right. They're not sure how many videos exist. They're not sure what notes Osama bin Laden was keeping, what records, what addresses, what phone numbers. So this is really a time of insecurity for al-Qaeda senior leadership, which is fantastic from a U.S. perspective because this has al-Qaeda on its heels. Its senior leadership has yet to announce a successor. Ayman al-Zawahiri, the al-Qaeda number 2, the deputy from Egypt, has not been named officially. This, I think, signals some degree of dissension internally. And the more dissension and insecurity that the U.S. can feed into the system, into al-Qaeda's thinking, the more that they are vulnerable, the more they're likely to make mistakes, the more that we're likely to be able to get on their trail and find other al-Qaeda leaders.
All right, Juan Zarate in Washington, thank you for being with us, Juan. Once again, the Pentagon has released home videos from Osama bin Laden's compound that show the late al-Qaeda leader watching videos of himself and preparing propaganda videos, rehearsals, and actually with a dyed beard. We saw Osama bin Laden, the most recent photos, the first we've seen of him in 4 years, with a gray beard. More tonight on the CBS Evening News and on CBSNews.com. Stay with us for the latest on the bin Laden videos. I'm Anthony Mason in New York. We'll see you later.
For news 24 hours a day, go to CBSNews.com.